This is question number 32 of the midterm exam. Carter Incorporation is evaluating a security given the information in the pop-up window, calculate the investment's expected return and its standard deviation. So this is a very standard question on the calculation of the expected return and the standard deviation given the probability and of each economy states and the corresponding returns under the each economy state. So as we said, the convenience, what's convenient about using MATLAB nowadays is that we can actually directly open this in Excel, which will facilitate the calculation significantly. So once we do that, we can see that the first step is we know that expected return is the weighted average of all the returns under all the economy states, and the weight is the probability. So in order to do that, we first need to calculate the product of the probability and the return under each economy state. So we just do that, multiply by the probability and the return, and do that for each of the economy states. Just drag the cell down to the other states, and eventually we're gonna just expect return, or maybe just use R to denote the expect return. Simply sum them up, sum all these products up. That will be my expected return. And just put that in the format which is required by the rounding requirement here, round to 2 decimal places and in percentage terms. So you can format the cell here and put that in percentage and keep 2 decimal places. So that gives us 9.3. That's my expected rate of return. And standard deviation also is sort of a weighted average. It's actually square root of a weighted average. And the weighted average here is the weighted average of the squared deviation of each individual return under a given economy state from the expected return, which we just calculated. So in order to do that, we calculate a product. It's also probability, but then multiply by the squared deviation, which is return minus R. This is the deviation. Return is each individual return, and minus the expected return. That's the deviation. And then take the square. So that equals the probability, and then times the return minus the expected return, and then take raised to the power of 2. And then because later on, if just for this cell value, it's okay just to keep the format like this. But because I want to drag the cell to the other years, if I just keep the format like this, you can see that Excel will also change the expected value, expected return to C7, but we don't have any number there. So what I want to do is to fix this cell value here, C6, which is the expected rate of return, by adding the dollar sign. So now if I drag the cell to the other years, Excel will keep the same value for this C6, which is expected rate of return, and other numbers will keep changing as we expect them to change. So now I can drag the cell to the other years, and this will give me the standard deviation, sigma. Actually, by taking the square root of that, right, SQRT equals SQRT, and then I sum up all these 4 products, and then just close this, and that will give me the sigma, which is the standard deviation. Just format the cells and keep 2 decimal places. I guess that should be consistent with the rounding requirement for the expected rate of return. That's exactly the case. And then just copy the number or just type the number back and check my answer now.